Daedalus and Icarus, the famous father and son from Greek mythology, whose story stands as a warning that although human innovation has no limits, just because something can be done doesn't mean that it should. Daedalus was a renowned inventor whose intelligence and reputation was well known throughout Greece. It was this very fame that led to his arrival in Crete at the request of its ruler, King Minos. For you see, Minos had a particular problem that required a master craftsman with the skill of Daedalus to solve. Minos was in possession of a mighty beast, the legendary Minotaur. He required a special cage to contain such a powerful being and approached Daedalus to build one for him. Daedalus, however, suggested instead an intricate maze as a better way of containing the monster, allowing also the king to send his enemies in with the beast, knowing there was no chance of escape. During his time in Crete, Daedalus had a son, Icarus, who by the end of this story would secure his legacy as the boy who flew too close to the sun. All is well until the hero Theseus arrives in Crete and is sentenced by King Minos to death in the labyrinth. Fortunately for him, however, the daughter of Minos, Princess Ariadne, had fallen madly in love with Theseus, and she is able to convince Daedalus, as the designer of the maze, to help Theseus survive the encounter. Daedalus gives to Theseus a ball of yarn and tells him to trail it behind him, marking his way and ensuring he cannot get lost. With this trick, Theseus is able to slay the Minotaur and find his way back out to escape. He flees Crete immediately, taking Princess Ariadne with him. King Minos is enraged by this, and with his daughter gone, turns his full wrath on Daedalus. Unwilling to lose the skill of the master craftsman entirely, he does not kill him, but instead imprisons Daedalus with his son Icarus in the now empty maze. But Daedalus is not a man to sit idly by, and knowing that the land and sea are well guarded by the forces of the king, forms a truly creative way to escape. Gathering feathers from passing birds over the course of many days, he forms wooden frames and glues the feathers to them with hot wax, creating 2 pairs of majestic wings for himself and his son. At last they are ready, and with nervous energy coursing through his body, he turns to his son and embraces him tightly, warning him one last time that this was a dangerous thing they were about to do. The wings were not perfect. Fly too close to the sea and they would absorb the water and become too heavy. Fly too close to the sun and the heat would melt the wax. They set off together into the sky, a mortal father and son, flying as if they were gods. Daedalus is gripped with fear, his only concern ensuring the safe escape of his son. Icarus, however, is caught up in the joy of flying, the power of the moment consuming him and causing him to forget his father's warnings. To the dismay of a helpless Daedalus, Icarus continues to ascend and the wax of his frame begins to melt, the feathers crumbling around him until eventually his wings break apart and he plummets down into the sea. The cries of "Father, Father," ending abruptly as he is swept under the great blue blanket and never seen again. Daedalus frantically tries to save his son, but it is too late and all he can find are floating feathers. He curses himself and his invention, how foolish they were as mere mortals to play as gods. He eventually comes to Sicily and there continues to mourn for his fallen son, constructing a temple to Apollo and hanging up his wings inside as both an offering to the god and a symbol of his grief. A story of powerful and emotive imagery that, despite their relative minor importance in wider Greek mythology, saw Daedalus and Icarus become names that are remembered to this day. Why did Icarus fly so high? Was it simply an error, or was he striving to prove something to himself? You could draw many different lessons from the myth, of greed, of humility, of human desire to ascend to godhood. But ultimately, it is perhaps a story that asks us a question of ourselves. How far would you go to touch the sun? Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more great stories. Cheers.